There's no rugby team quite like the Springboks. Their green and gold jerseys shine with triumph. Their scrums and tackles have brought down the best in the world. But behind every try, every anthem, and every stadium roar lies a story that is far more complicated, one of race, resistance, redemption, and identity. To understand the legacy of the South African Springboks, you must first understand the weight of the past they carry. For much of the 20th century, rugby in South Africa wasn't just a sport. It was a political symbol. The game was dominated by white Afrikaners, and the national team became a reflection of apartheid itself. Rugby was pride, power, and patriotism for some, and exclusion, injustice, and anger for others. In black townships, the Springbok emblem meant something very different. It stood for a system that kept people out, not just from stadiums, but from dignity. And yet, despite the hurt, the passion for rugby never died in these communities. They played in dusty fields with tattered balls, forming their own leagues, their own heroes, their own version of the game. Meanwhile, on the global stage, South Africa became a pariah. Teams refused to tour. International matches were cancelled. The 1981 Springbok Tour of New Zealand ignited some of the largest civil protests in the country's history. Games were stormed, streets were blocked, and helicopters dropped flower bombs over stadiums. Rugby was no longer just a game. It had become a battlefield of moral resistance. For more than a decade, South Africa was banned from international rugby. The Springboks vanished from World Cups, from the Six Nations, from the conscience of the sporting world. But they never vanished from South African hearts, white or black. Then came 1994. The apartheid regime collapsed. Nelson Mandela was elected president. And with that seismic shift came a decision that surprised the world. Mandela chose to embrace the Springboks. It wasn't easy. Many of his closest allies saw the team as a lingering symbol of white supremacy. But Mandela saw something more. He saw an opportunity for healing, for unity, for change. The 1995 Rugby World Cup was held in South Africa. For the first time in history, the Springboks played as a team for all South Africans. Their roster still reflected the legacy of the past, almost entirely white. But their mission was different. They weren't just playing to win, they were playing to unite. They fought their way through the tournament with grit and heart. Jonah Lomu, the unstoppable All Black, awaited them in the final. Few believed the Springboks could win, but on that day, at Ellis Park, in front of a stadium filled with hope, they did. Mandela walked onto the field wearing a Springbok jersey, number 6, the number of Captain Francois Pienaar. He handed over the trophy with a smile, and the crowd erupted. It wasn't just about rugby. It was about forgiveness, recognition, and rebirth. The image of Mandela and Pienaar standing side by side remains one of the most iconic moments in sports history. It told a story far beyond the scoreboard. It told the world that sport could do what politics struggled to achieve. It could bring people together. Since then, the Springboks have evolved. In 2007, they won the World Cup again, with legends like Brian Habana electrifying the world. In 2019, Siya Kolisi became the first black captain to lead the team to a World Cup victory. That moment, too, was powerful. Kolisi wasn't just lifting a trophy, he was lifting the weight of history. In his post-match interview, Kolisi spoke not of triumph, but of unity. He thanked fans from rural villages to crowded cities. He spoke of the pride in his people's eyes. And he reminded the world, this team is no longer just a symbol of privilege. It's a symbol of possibility. But the story of the Springboks isn't finished. There are still debates, challenges, and echoes of the past. Inclusion, access, and opportunity remain uneven in South African rugby. But the strides made are undeniable. Today, the Springboks are fierce, diverse, and proudly South African. They carry with them every bruise and every breakthrough. Every try scored echoes generations of struggle, and every jersey worn tells a story of transformation. In the brutal, beautiful ballet that is rugby, the Springboks remain both warriors and witnesses. They are the legacy of pain turned into progress, of blood and boots forged into brotherhood. This is the story of the Springboks, the team that divided a nation and now defines it.